Welcome to Conversations with My 8-Year-Old Me. I'm the author, J.E.L. Today we have 4 of our conversations with us out of the 8, and we are going to read Don't Leave the Baby to Cry. So if you have your Don't Leave the Baby to Cry, go get your Don't Leave Your Baby to Cry. And if you don't have it yet, it's okay. You can still follow along. You can pick up your book later. Okay? All right. So let's get started. Get your little drink if you need to. Get your glasses if you need to. Okay, Don't Leave the Baby to Cry from Conversations with My 8-Year-Old Me by J.E.L. That's me. We'll start with our Dear Reader page. Dear Reader, Conversations with My 8-Year-Old Me are written as the adult me having a conversation with 8-year-old me. You could pretend to be both characters in a story, or you could take turns reading back and forth with a friend or family member. You could read along with the author. That's me. To see how I read both parts by watching my YouTube channel at Joy Elaine's Music. That's what we're doing right now. Look for Conversations with My 8-Year-Old Me. Don't Leave the Baby to Cry. We'll talk more at the end of this video about being afraid of the dark and differences in eyesight. May your nightlight always shine bright. P.S. If you want to help me thank my editor, MY-8YR-OLD, for graciously giving of her time and skills, you can check out her books at deerandpinstories.com on Goodreads. We have our page with our Conversations with My 8-Year-Old Me, the titles of the other 8, which you can't see on the screen. And then our title page, Conversations with My 8-Year-Old Me, Volume 2, Don't Leave the Baby to Cry, 2025, written by Joy Elaine. Photos by Everett Fruitman and Joy Elaine. Cover photo, Joy at 1.5 years old. Let's see if you can see that though, because that's pretty cute. There it is, almost. Which way to turn it? Well, you'll just have to get the book and see. Almost. There we go. And then we have our character breakdown page in all of the books. Let's see if you can see that one. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so the 8-year-old me, aka or otherwise known as Baby Girl, and you can see that's a picture of me when I was 8 years old, and that's me thinking back to my childhood. And in the storybooks, when Baby Girl is talking, that will always be in the quoted text. And the adult me, aka J.E.L, is me now and the narrator. Most of the books Baby Girl seems to start, and that's the case with this one. So we have Baby Girl. Do you think that adults remember things from when they were super little? I don't really know. I can think of one friend that has mentioned that she remembers things from babyhood. Why? Do you remember that far back? I don't think so, but I do remember trying to stare out of the playpen box and crying really loudly at Grandma and Grandpa's house because I couldn't see anything in the dark. Oh yeah, Grandpa probably built that. It had large wooden slats painted white placed all the way around the square-shaped box, as you call it, and had just enough room for a toddler to sit and play with a toy or two, or curl up and sleep, or stand holding the slats crying for someone to come. I could hear talking from the next room, Mom and Dad, Auntie, and Grandma and Grandpa discussing my crying. I heard my aunt say, "Let her cry." I heard them decide not to come. Didn't they know I couldn't see anything? Didn't they care I was so scared? Well, I guess they must have cared enough to have had a discussion about no crying. Then why did she say to let me cry? Why did they want me to be scared? I don't think they wanted you to feel scared. I think they had to discuss what to do because they didn't remember feeling that fear, so they didn't understand your fear. How could they not? Remember the summer you went to Tucson for the Cousin Bash reunion? You were 7. Yes, I threw up because it was so hot, and on a couple of nights I cried because of the dark thing outside thingy we did and the scary indoor rooms. Do you remember the outing the children took with the adults to an old mine? Yes, We all had lanterns, but one time the guide asked everyone to turn out their light. The super duper darkness made it so that no one could see their own hand, even if they touched their own face or the other people's hands or anything. That sounds awful. It actually didn't seem so bad because my dad and my little bit older sister were standing next to me, and the guide kept talking to everyone. Then my little bit older sister, who picked on me for being afraid of the dark, turned on her lantern before we were supposed to. They asked her why she had turned it on, and she blamed me, saying I would cry. Did you cry? Weren't you scared? Nope, I didn't cry, but I was a little scared. Guess I was okay with her blaming me because I knew how scared she must have felt. Also, I was kind of glad it wasn't me that time for once. Now, do you remember all those times you would be in the dark and they would tell you to look around and you would try, but you couldn't understand how they thought you could see anything? Yes, I hated that. Well, they must have seen things in the dark rooms. Some people actually see better in the dark. The confusion came because you didn't know that they could actually see things, and they didn't know that you couldn't. To you, it must have felt more like the darkness of that mind. But babies and toddlers had different kinds of cries. Even I know that, and I'm only 8, and I cried because I was scared. You have always been good with younger children, probably because you do remember how you felt at their young age, and you wanted to make them feel safe. The adults only knew what they were taught. How could they possibly know more? They were working off of a theory of control. If they decided it was time for you to sleep and you didn't comply, then the theory was that you were being defiant, which means that you were choosing not to obey. But I was like 2 or 3. I understand. Let me finish. Okay. No one taught them the balance of making sure you felt safe. Somehow I had a gift with children to know this balance, probably because you had remembered these feelings. I would sing lullabies to the babies and pat their backs until they fell asleep, and I would read stories to the toddlers because of what you taught me. That wasn't the only time you were left to cry, remember? Yes, I think I was 4 and I got dumped in the nursery at a strange church. I screamed and cried, but the teachers left me in the corner. No one explained anything to me. Yep. Now remember when you were around 6 and you got in trouble for talking out of turn at your regular Sunday school that you liked going to? I didn't talk out of turn. The kids laughed and the teacher got mad at me because she said she had just gotten the children settled down. I don't even know what I said or did to make them laugh. So I got mad and cried. So the teacher made me stand outside the classroom door. I could see our big blue car and wanted to run away, but I wasn't allowed to go into the street. Yes, I chuckled at the irony. Yes, that was the time. Anyway, do you remember what happened next? Yes, I will always remember. I kept crying and crying. The helper girl finally came outside, took me by the hand, and walked me to the drinking fountain. I walked up the big brown wooden step stool, and she held the button while I got a long drink of water. Why do you suppose she had you do that? Because it's really hard to cry while you're drinking water. Yes, I chuckled again. Yes, it is. And why else? I felt special getting to go to the drinking fountain. Yes, and then what did she do? She explained some things, but I don't remember anything she said. Did you cry anymore? No. She held my hand and we went back to the classroom. Whenever I would nanny or work in a Sunday school class or any other babysitting job I had, I always remember that day. If they dropped off a crying child, I would hold the child on my hip, or facing away from me, or firmly hold their hand. I would get them a drink of water if they would take it. Then, with them still on my hip or sitting them on my lap, facing out, lying or not, I would invite them to join in whatever I was doing with the rest of the children. The key is balance. I have learned a few things to help to create that balance. A firm, reassuring hold, speaking with a matter-of-fact tone, continuing on with the other children's play, not being shaken by the child's fear, not allowing manipulation by not catering to the crying as if there was something bad happening, but also not feeling manipulated by not allowing the crying to control my actions, not trying to control how the child feels. It boils down to just holding them safe and tight, letting them cry if they still needed to, and still interacting with all of the children. Wouldn't the kid crying make some of the other kids cry too? No. Sometimes they would show a little concern, and I would calmly and confidently tell them that the child was fine and get them refocused on the task at hand. But I would never say, "You're fine," directly to the crying child. Why? Because saying it directly to the child confirms to them that there is something to be fearful of. Does anyone ever tell you that you're fine on days when you feel fine? Oh, I guess not. So, instead of hearing "let her cry," the little boy would get to hear someone say, "He's fine," or "She's fine," while you were holding them tight. Yes. This way, all the children would hear and see that I was big and strong enough to handle the present situation, and they didn't have to continue being the small children they were while just observing adult responsibility for when their turn came. Wowie. I wish that's what I would have heard, and someone would have come to hold me tight. That, my dear, is probably why I say it to the other children, and you get to hear me say it to them also. Doesn't that help a little? Maybe a little, but what? Do you want me to try to hold you tight? Oh, yes, please. Now, do you feel better? Oh, yes. Thank you very much. With a big, peaceful yawn, she states, "I think I want to try to take a nap now. Sweet dreams, baby girl." Okay, so that was "Don't Leave the Baby to Cry." So we're going to go talk about being afraid of the dark and differences in eyesight. All right, so we had fun reading "Don't Leave the Baby to Cry." Except for being afraid of the dark isn't necessarily fun, is it? But if we're together, like they were in the mine and they weren't, I wasn't afraid so much in the mine, but my sister probably was, so she turned on her light, right? Maybe she really wasn't me, but she really thought I was going to cry. Which eventually I might have, I don't know. So we're going to talk about being afraid of the dark. So even when I was little, I was afraid. And then as I got bigger in our house, we had a light in the hallway and we had to have that light. It was one where you could turn it down a little bit or turn up. So as long as it was at least on a little bit and I could see have the light into my room, then I could sleep okay. But if that light went out, which I remember it doing one time, I would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and crying because it would scare me. And that wasn't when I was teeny tiny. That was when I don't even know. I was probably 10 or something. I don't know. But I just had a hard time seeing. And there's different kinds of things to do with your eyes. So some of them have to do with seeing far. Some of them have to do with seeing close. And some of them have to do with how much light gets in and different. But I'm not an eye doctor, so I just know what I've done. And I've had some surgery to where I didn't have to have my glasses quite so thick. So that's one thing I could do because I can't see far, far away. So that helped me see a whole lot better and then have glasses that are not so thick. But these glasses are still prescription and they still help me see far and they help me see kind of medium. And then there's a little part I have to look through just right to read because usually it's actually easier for me to take glasses off to read. But you saw I used my glasses when I read the stories to you. But some people have glasses just called reading glasses so that they can read, right? And I think that's more common than how I do it, where I take them off to read. Okay, and then, there's other things like some people actually have 20/20 vision and don't need glasses at all. Must be nice. Never had that. But I inherited some of it. My dad had really, really bad eyes. He had something called a lazy eye, and I had to have surgery for that. See, so there's all kinds of different eye things that can happen. And then some of it is just maybe if you're in a new place, right? And then maybe you just don't feel safe because you're at a new home or at a friend's house. You've never been there, so you don't know where the things are that you're going to trip over on the way to the bathroom, right? So you just have a little light. But I would love to find out what some of y'all do to help with seeing in the dark at nighttime, if you have night light, or different ideas, because you can't really have a flashlight all night long, right? That doesn't work. Okay, well, I would love to hear your ideas. All right, see you at the next story.